Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. How is everybody? How is your Monday going so far? I've got a cup of decaf coffee, mostly to keep me warm. It hasn't been that cold, but it's actually been unseasonably warm here. But then it got a little bit more chilly today, which made me feel cold. So I've got this mostly just to hold on to it. How is everybody today? Have you had a good new year? Are you settling into 2019? So I wanted to hop on today because you guys, I have a whole, can you see this? I have a whole pile of stuff to tell you about. So I hope that this comes across a little bit more, I don't know, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't think it may not all flow very well, all of this, but I just have some stuff on my heart and I wanted to share all of it in one place. I'm also going to share a little bit about a one-day workshop that I went to on Saturday. I took pages and pages of notes. It was so good. And so it kind of goes along with what I want to talk to you about today, which is your vision for 2019. I want to know, who do you want to be in 2019? And not only who do you want to be, but who did God make you to be? What gifts, what unique giftings did He give you? Even weird quirks, even parts of your past that often we look back on, with regret or guilt, or we wish it didn't happen. What if we looked at those wounds and those struggles as a way to look at our calling and how can God use all that we've been through as a part of our story and our purpose and our calling and our gifting and how we can share our story and our light with the world. So that's just a little bit about what I want to share. I see that MC is on here. So over the weekend, our oil team, led by Dr. Edie Wadsworth, if you don't follow her, after we get off here, go find Life and Grace on Facebook and binge watch all of her morning mentor videos. They're so good. She hosted a one-day goal-setting workshop, kind of for our oil team, but it was open to the public, and it was not about oils. It was about your vision and your goals and your hopes for 2019. And so Edie spoke, and she did several sessions, and then Jamie Nadeau spoke, and if you don't follow her, she's another oil person that we love. She's hilarious. But I took pages and pages of notes, and I'm still kind of processing through it all, you guys, but it was so encouraging. So I really wanted to get on here. Yes, one of my biggest struggles in life turned out to be my life work. And I can say the same thing. Many of you have followed my journey when I started sharing about my struggles on my blog years ago about depression and anxiety. And even my own heart has changed about it now, all these years later. It's interesting to me to look back on some of my old posts. It's almost like, gosh, I want to delete that. But I don't at the same time because I can see, how much God has grown me. But just starting to share the hard stuff with people, it ended up turning into this, just huge, amazing ministry of encouragement that God has given me, this community, and then my oil team, and just this wellness journey. I could never have dreamed it up, but it was all birthed out of the hardest time in my life. So I love that, and that is so much what Edie and Jamie talked about on Saturday. So, okay, I'm going to be asking you some questions. You might want to write these down and go back and think about them. because I, on Saturday, took a lot of notes. I wrote down the questions, and I didn't actually do a lot of goal setting because I need time to process. I'm still praying through it. I've got some things written down, but not in all, categories. So here's the first quote I want to start off with. And I have quotes from 2 different books for you today, and I will link to those after I get done with this video. Yes, he is so good. I know. And I don't know why it surprises me or us so much, but it's so like God, Okay, so the 2 books that I'm going to be sharing quotes from, I will go back and put links up in this post when I'm done with the video. The first one is The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, which is kind of a leadership book, but it's also just super, super motivational for helping you make changes in your life. I have so many things underlined in this book. I encourage you, if you are a leader of any sort, to grab this book. But even if you're not like a leader of a bunch of people, it's so good. Listen, this is in the first chapter. A time comes when you need to stop waiting for the man you want to become and start being the man you want to be, or woman. No one improves by accident. Alrighty then. Does that hit anybody else? Oh. There comes a time when you got to stop talking about it. When you got to stop saying, I wish I was 30 pounds lighter. I wish I was a more confident person. I wish I could do XYZ. There comes a time when we need to stop waiting and thinking about it and reading about it and talking about it and wishing our life away and start being that person. And that goes perfectly with another quote I'm going to share here in just a minute. I'm going to try and stick to my notes, but you guys, I'm not really good at sticking to notes. So that first thing is just kind of sets the tone for what I want to share with you today. A lot of people look at my wellness journey over the last 2 years. It's been exactly 2 years since Edie encouraged us to do the Whole30 and the sisterhood, and that was kind of the beginning of my weight loss journey. And so a lot of people, look at me and they're like, how did you lose weight? And blah, blah, blah. And oh, it's so awesome. But the bigger battle for me has been my emotions and my mental health. And none of it's been easy, right? But no one improves by accident. And it has been a journey of a lot of little steps, day after day, when often you don't see results right away, right? So that's like, when we eat a salad and we expect to be healthy, or we eat healthy for a week and wonder why, we haven't lost any weight yet. Or I used a drop of lavender and it didn't change my life. It's a series of small steps, and don't neglect or get discouraged by the small, good choices you make every day. So I want you to think about who you want to be in 2019. And then I want you to think about what small changes and choices, what choices do you need to make on a daily basis to get yourself there? Okay? So listen, the other book I'm going to quote from today is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I will link these when I'm done. Okay, let's see. Wrong page. It is so easy to overestimate the importance of one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis, right? So when I look back to 2 years ago when I started this journey, it wasn't one big thing that did this for me, right? It was a series of good choices I started making day after day after day. And does that mean that I never failed and messed up? No. We're all going to fail and mess up. But we get back up again, right? So those small daily choices add up to huge changes. Listen to this next part. Breakthrough moments are often the result of many previous actions which build up the potential required to unleash a major change. So often, breakthrough is right around the corner, and we give up before we see it. Because we make these small good choices and changes or decisions, whatever, on a daily basis, and we don't see the progress that we think we should see, and we give up right before breakthrough happens. And so we get caught in that plateau, or we're disappointed that we're not seeing the results that we want to see, and we give up. Y'all, we can't give up, right? There's one more quote I was going to read from this book. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision. But as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts and grows stronger. Roots entrench themselves and branches begin to grow. So here he says, goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. So I don't necessarily call it systems. What I say, my friend Kelly calls them tangible goals, but I almost like practical steps. So if you see that, okay, let's say your goal is to get healthy and lose weight. This one is easier kind of to talk about and make practical. Now break that down, right? What are the smaller things you need to do to get there? Make your list and start doing them. Drink more water. Stop drinking more soda. Move your body. Get your hormones balanced. Eat foods that strengthen your body and not processed foods. Start eliminating those processed foods from your diet. There are all kinds of little practical steps you can see that are going to help you on your journey to getting healthy. And that's just an example. So back to my question from the beginning of the video, who do you want to be in 2019? Now break that down. If it's getting healthy, there's so many things you can list. One good choice at a time. That's what I'm talking about. One seemingly small, good choice at a time. Okay, another thing that book says is you get what you repeat. All right, now, along those same lines, as you are making those tangible goals, as you are writing down practical steps that are going to move you toward who you want to be in 2019, also think about who God made you to be. So often we look around, and I'm guilty of this, you guys, and we see the giftings and the leanings and the personalities of others, and we're like, well, I don't really want the gifts I have. I'd rather have those gifts that she has, right? Does anybody else do that? Am I the only one? So here are, those of you that were there Saturday, this is going to be a repeat. She asked us on Saturday some questions to ask yourself to help you pinpoint who God made you to be and your passions. And okay, so you might want to jot these down and then spend some time thinking through them. And once you've written all your answers, you're probably going to see some patterns, and you're going to see, to me, it's like seeing a picture of who God made you to be. All right? And I haven't even finished answering these for myself yet, y'all. So there's 12 questions. All right? Are you ready? Number 1, what is something you like to do even when you're tired or running late? What do you enjoy doing even when you're exhausted? I'm just going to go through these, and y'all can write them down and think about them later. Number 2, what is something you are good at that most people try to do but can't? What are you good at that most people try to do but they can't? Number 3, name a time in your life when you are the happiest, or a time it doesn't have to be past, it can be any time. A time in your life when you are the happiest. Number 4, what is something you do that you lose track of time doing? I think these are so good. What is something you do that you lose track of time doing? Number 5, what is something you look for in the people closest to you? What qualities do you look for? Number 6, name somewhere or something you do where you feel the most free. When or where do you feel the most free? Number 7, imagine you are smiling from ear to ear. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? What is making you smile? Number 8, imagine you are 10 years old again. What are you doing that makes you the happiest at age 10? Number 9, think of your most valuable possession or collection. What does it represent to you? What do you own or collect, and what does it mean to you? Number 10, what book or memoir have you read that you can't get out of your mind? And what one word, does it represent to you? What book or memoir have you read that you can't get out of your mind? And what was the message of that book? Number 11, what is something that you are not very good at, but you still want to keep trying? Like you just keep trying Sorry, I got a phone call. And then number 12, if all of your expenses were paid for 2 years, what would you do with your time? Aren't those good? All right, so think about those, write down your answers, and you will begin to see a pattern of who God made you to be. So, think about who you want to be in 2019. Now, what small, tangible steps do you need to take to get there? And then go through those questions to see who you are. Ask yourself, what do you love? What are you passionate about? Also, what lies have you been believing? There's a chapter in this book, chapter 2. Let me see if I can find it. I meant to write down the page numbers to all these quotes, but in chapter 2 of Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about connecting your identity to your goals. Okay, so he says, let me just read part of this. Most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve themselves. They just think, I want to be skinny, which is the outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I'll be skinny. They set goals and determine the actions they should take to achieve these goals without considering the beliefs that drive their actions. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans for change. So, if you're trying to lose weight, we need to first consider, why am I overweight to begin with? Is it because I eat, emotionally binge every night before bed? Is it because I don't exercise? And why don't I exercise? It's like digging in and finding the root of why, you want to change and what the problem is to begin with. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than creates, then you'll continue to be pulled towards spending rather than earning. You may want better health, but if you continue to prioritize comfort over accomplishment, you will be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. So you have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't really changed who you are. So I had never really considered how much your identity should play into your goals and your habits and trying to make changes in your life. And so he tells you in this chapter, y'all, I feel like it's going to sound silly, but it has been revolutionary for me. He tells you to ask yourself a question anytime you're tempted to fall back into your old patterns. And for me, I'm not so much focusing on my physical health right now. I am trying to get my emotions healthy and to get my insecurities nipped in the bud and to find a confidence in who God made me to be, which I know for those of you sitting watching me on live video, you think that I look confident or whatever. But I have a lot of emotional baggage that I've never dealt with. And so that for me is my next big hurdle that I'm working on. And so he tells you to ask this question when you find yourself either tempted by, food or whatever if your health or weight loss is your thing, or let's say if it's something more emotional, when you catch yourself thinking that negative thought, or when you catch yourself being anxious about something, or when you catch yourself being jealous of someone, whatever the negative behavior is you're trying to change about yourself, ask yourself, what would a healthy person do right now? What would a confident person do right now? What would a leader do in this scenario? So whatever it is you're trying to do, like whatever your goal is, like if you want to become, for me, honestly, I am working on confidence. And so I will ask myself, what would a confident person do? Well, a confident person would not walk into a room and not show up to an event just because you're worried about what people are going to think. No, a confident person would walk in and they would ask others how they're doing. They would focus on others and not be worried about what people are thinking about me. So that's just one example. What would a healthy person do? So you're going out to dinner with friends and you're agonizing over the menu. What would a healthy person do? Then the next thing you have to ask yourself is, how badly do you want that thing? So for me, this has been a lifelong battle, and I'm to the point where I'm just sick of it. And so I want pretty badly to change. So in that moment, when I say to myself, what would an emotionally healthy person do? What would a confident person do? What would a secure person do? I have my answer already. And in that moment, I get to decide, do I really want to be this confident person? Or do I want to shrink back and stay in my insecurities and let the enemy win for the rest of my life? And then I start getting mad. No, heck no. I want to be content and happy and confident with who God made me to be. So that enables me in that moment to choose to walk in that room with that group of people and mingle or whatever it is, whatever that, challenging situation is. In that moment, that helps me to make that decision. What would a healthy person do? And that health could be physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. What would a healthy person do? What would a skinny person do? What would a leader do? That's another question I've asked myself over the weekend. We had, our teams, our oil teams. I had people traveling in from all over the country. And there were several times, I'm tempted to, do I want to go and do this? Or do I need to do this? Where do I need to be focusing my time or my attention right in this moment? And I would ask myself, what would a good leader do? And immediately I would have my answer. I know what a good leader would do. A good leader would go, talk to this person or encourage this person or reach out to this person or whatever. So that idea came from Atomic Habits in chapter 2 and tying your identity to who you want, to the change that you want to make. And for me, it's only been a week or two since I read that chapter, but I have been asking myself those questions every day, time and time and time again. And it has been radical for me. Thank you, MC. Yes, I did invite our team to come over to my house. That was so much fun. That to me was not a hard decision. People at my house all the time. It's those, I don't know, for me, I think it's just the lack of confidence in who I am. And I've spent a lot of time wishing I had different gifts. And that makes me sad to say that. It almost makes me want to cry to say that. Because, when we do that, not only does that steal our joy, but it also, it's like we're not glorifying God to the fullest of our capability, because He made us in His image. He didn't make any mistakes. He gave you little pieces of Himself. He gave me little pieces of Himself. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We were created in Christ to do good works. And so when we shy away and when we hide from who God made us to be, oh, that's just sad, isn't it? And so for me, this has been a battle for a while, but I think I've just gotten to the point where I'm like, enough is enough. It is time to kick that enemy to the curb. Okay, let's get back to my... So how badly do you want it? So who do you want to be in 2019? What does that look like? What are your natural giftings? Go through those 12 questions. Who did God make you to be? What small steps now can you take to get there? Ask yourself that question. What would a leader do? What would a healthy person do? What would a confident person do? Whatever your thing is you're trying to become. And then I just want to close with that verse that I quoted, but I did not quote the whole thing because I forgot to look it up. Oh, it's chapter 2, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. I knew it was in Ephesians. I just had forgotten to look up the verse. Okay. We are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand. So God has these good works, these gifts, this life, this purpose, this calling for you. He created you this way with these gifts, and even with your wounds, and even with the past that you've been through. What if we stopped looking at those with regret and with guilt, and we started looking at those as stepping stones to make us who God wanted us to be all along? Right? So I think, is it Lisa TerKeurst who says, let your mess become your message? And I know MC said that has proven true in her life. It is so proven true in my life, and I know it will for you too. So God has created you in Christ Jesus for these good works. Now you have to decide. Yes, it happened. Yes, it hurts, but it's not going to stop me. I'm not going to stay here. It serves a purpose. Can I walk in that purpose? So Edie asked us some questions toward the end of the workshop on Saturday. She said, what will it cost you if you stay where you are? And most of us can answer that because that's where we've been. Okay, so if I stay here and I let my insecurities and the opinions of others hold me back, well, that's going to look like what I've seen the last 42 years, right? It's going to look like a lot of things. I won't even begin to list them all, but what will it cost you? What will the world miss out on if you are not living your best life, if you are not living out who God made you to be? We become who we are. We become who we're supposed to be by trying and failing. Most that succeed fail forward. And this is what I want to leave you with today. Nothing about this journey is easy. And there are times we want to give up. There are times when we just think it's too hard. There are times when we mess up and we think, there's just no way. And I've been there. But those, my friend, are the lies that the enemy wants you to believe. And he wants you to stay in that place of disappointment and pity and worry and depression and hopelessness and being stuck. And remember that verse that I love to share so much. We can be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Memorize that one, you guys. Romans 12:2. We can be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That renewing takes work, and it is not easy, and we will stumble and we will fall, but we will get back up again. And we will be transformed by the renewing of our minds, by the grace of God. These small steps that don't look like much in the beginning, you guys, but don't give up, because breakthrough is around the corner. All right, you guys, I hope this was a little bit encouraging and not too all over the place. Love you guys. Happy New Year. Who do you want to be in 2019? Let's go and do it.